Do you feel like everybody you know is so much further along than you? Do you feel like people your age are way ahead of you and you should be doing more than you are doing right now? It's easy to feel alone and feel like you're behind, to feel like you're so behind in life. So this video is for everybody who feels behind in life and feels lonely on that journey because they feel like maybe they're the only one who's feeling like this. But I'm here to tell you, most of the people you know probably feel like this. A lot of people feel like they're behind, even if it looks like they have a good career, a stable job. Maybe they settled, and maybe they wish that they would have done something else, and they feel like they already missed their chance to go after their dreams. And you might feel like you already missed the chance to go after your dreams, but it's never too late. The late bloomers tend to bloom the most beautifully. And as a late bloomer myself, even though I'm young here on YouTube, I have always been a late bloomer in many aspects of my life. And the things that you learn while you're experimenting, while you're doing things differently than others, are the most valuable lessons to learn. So the question is maybe not, are you behind, but are you experimenting? Are you learning? Are you growing? Are you doing things every day that shift your mindset? Are you looking within? Are you doing what you can in this moment to bring you to where you want to be? Because you can't ever really change something in the future. It's just going to be a collection of now moments that lead you to where you're going to go. And it's so easy to feel behind when, for example, other people may have graduated college before you. Like me, I'm behind in college because I dropped a lot of classes early on and dropped classes when I started this YouTube channel, and I don't really care about that. And it feels like I should be, ready to graduate and work a job and be making more money than I am and be just like my friends who are about to graduate and move on with their lives, and I feel like I'm behind. But I'm creating something on my own journey. If you know that your own path is the path that you should be taking because you feel it in your heart, you're not behind. You're ahead of most people because most people don't find that passion, that calling early on. But maybe you don't even have your passion, and that's why you feel behind. You feel like you have no purpose. All that learning, all that experimenting that you're doing will help you find that. And know that you don't necessarily just have to have one purpose. You can learn, you can do so many things. You could branch out in so many directions. You don't have to put yourself in a box. A lot of people have put themselves in boxes, and that's why it seems that they're so ahead. But really, they're just following the path that they were led down. They're not really doing things differently. A lot of the people that always feel behind are the ones that are dreamers, the ones that want to make a difference in the world. And because of that, you feel like there's no set out path for you, so you feel behind. But really, you're ahead. Maybe you're at a certain age where you feel like you should already have a stable career and you should be established, and you're still chasing after your dreams, and it feels like you've already missed the opportunity that you could have had if you'd started younger, or you started a few years before. It's relative, because I could say that I'm behind being only 21 years old. I'm behind certain 18-year-olds who have already made millions of dollars. But you could be 30 something and say you're behind because you don't have a family yet, or you're not married yet. Whatever it is, these are just things that your mind makes up. And if you can let those limiting beliefs go and realize how much time you do have, and that all the time you spent not doing that thing that you think you should be ahead on, those are the times that are gonna teach you. Those are the times that are gonna make you the best version of yourself when you reach that point. And you'll be able to share your story of how you felt behind, and maybe change someone else's life who feels behind right now. Everything always happens at the perfect time for you. This is your journey. It's no one else's. Don't feel like society has to place you in this box and you must have these certain things by certain ages. A lot of the societal structures that we live based on now are things that were based on a lifespan that was much shorter. The lifespan is growing and growing and growing. And I'm not saying, you never know how much time you've got left, but I'm just saying in a general sense, people used to get married earlier because they weren't going to live as long. People used to have kids earlier because they weren't going to live as long. And people used to only go to school and then get a job. That was the dream. Now you have things like social media where anybody can live their dream. You don't have to get signed by a record label to start producing music and sharing it with people. Maybe you want to get signed at some point, but you can immediately share things with people. I could never have this as a career even 20 years ago. I couldn't just start making YouTube videos and sharing my ideas with the world. You live in a very precious time. This is one of the best times to be alive. You could be 70 years old and just start a YouTube channel and live your dream. It's possible for anyone at any time. So don't worry about changing the past. Don't worry about trying to put yourself ahead in the social hierarchy. A lot of the reason that I feel like a lot of people feel like they're behind is because they're comparing themselves to their peers and what people put out to the world and what it looks like everyone's doing. It looks like everyone's living a better life than you. But those are the highlights of their life. You don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, and they might not be fulfilled with what they're doing. So as long as you are doing what makes you happy in each and every now moment, you are never behind. You're always in the moment doing what you love. And it will lead you to where you're meant to be. If it's meant to be, it will be. There's no need to rush things. One of my friends is about to get married. That's not something that I would want to do anytime soon personally, but one of my friends is about to get married, and I could feel behind, like, oh, I haven't found the love of my life yet. I'm not getting married, so I must be behind. I should be starting a family soon. I should be doing all of these things. It's not one journey for everybody. So many people find love late in life. So many people find their calling late in life. So many people finally use all the skills that they learned when they weren't doing what they were meant to be doing to show them what they're meant to be doing. And when they are in that, when they finally find it, they're more passionate about it, and they use all the knowledge that they learned to bring them forward in that career. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to fit in with what everyone else is doing. You're doing just fine. You're on the right path, and only you can decide what life you want to live. As long as you're making slight progress every day, you're doing better than a lot of people. If you're watching this kind of content, you're on the right path. You're trying to, build yourself up. What does behind really mean? It's all depending on the person. It's all depending on the situation. And in my opinion, no one's ever truly behind. It can feel like you're behind because you see what other people are doing, and it's heightened with social media, and you feel like all my friends are doing so much better than me. There's so many people at my age that are so much further along. They've got millions of dollars. What does that mean? It doesn't matter. As long as you're here, you are worthy for just being you. You are existing as a spiritual being, living this human experience, and you can do whatever you want. As long as you're doing what you can in this moment, you're doing just fine. I want to remind you that you're doing just fine. Don't be putting so much pressure on yourself, because that's only hindering your growth. you're doing way better than you probably think. And there's somebody who thinks they're behind you. There's probably someone out there that thinks they're behind you. And that's the reality of it. You see things from your perspective, but if you start to shift your perspective and think about all the time that you do have, whatever it is, you never know how much time you do have, but you've got one day, and that day is today. And as long as you make today the greatest day you can possibly make it, you're not behind. You could start over at any time, and sometimes a fresh start is the best thing. Be happy about this, because you're living in one of the best times of your life where you can start fresh, do different things, start doing different things and trying new things out, and living your life how you want to live it. For some reason, a lot of people will pressure you into conforming to what the rule book is, and you don't need to conform. If you're not conforming, I say you're doing better than them, because you're living life the way you want to live it, and you're not behind. You're doing just fine, and it's all going to work out at the perfect time for you. Nothing is a mistake. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything is happening at the exact right time. You can do it. I believe in you. And screw what other people think. If other people tell you you're behind, if they tell you you should be doing something else, screw them, man. Do what you want to do. Do what you feel in your heart that you should be doing in each now moment, and stack those victories on top of each other, and be proud of yourself for just doing the simplest things, because you got up in the morning, because you brushed your teeth, because you got out of bed and seized the day. I know it seems simple, but I've been there in a depressed state where it felt like it was hard to get up. It was hard to brush my teeth. It was hard to take on the day. It was hard to do anything. But as long as you're doing something and building on that each and every day, you, my friend, are not behind. And don't let anyone ever tell you that you're behind, because you can do anything that you put your mind to, anything you put your heart to. And a lot of the people that get ahead real quick, they lose it. They lose the passion. You have that passion. You have that yearning for something more. And that something more can always be found within yourself. Trust your intuition. Trust what your heart tells you to do, and do that. And as long as you're doing that, you can never be behind. Be sure to check out my Higher Self guided meditation if you want to connect to your higher self, which some of you may have never heard of before. It's an inner guidance system, and I want you to follow your heart. So this meditation will help you do that. It'll help you follow your intuition, follow your calling, and find your calling. Answer all the deep burning questions you have about your life. I think this meditation can help you do that, because you have to look within. Check out my recent video about my spiritual awakening story. I think you'll enjoy it, especially if you've been through a spiritual awakening, and if you have no idea what that is, it might be interesting to listen to my story. So I love you all. Peace, love, from Universal Crystals, forever.